we had three candidates that were intending to be baptized. And we'd been in faith exploration classes for a few months, and that had gone well. And we were kind of, it was beginning of May was when the baptism was supposed to happen. And so when the pandemic hit, it was kind of very quickly, within a couple of weeks, we were saying, well, that date for a baptism, kind of as we have traditionally done it, is just not going to work. It's not going to happen. And so then it was this feeling like they're ready for baptism. They want to be baptized. How can we make this work? And this particular baptism, we had three candidates that were all related to each other, which made things easier in COVID times. So it was a brother and a sister, and then their cousin. And so we thought if we could gather them together outside, and then we could do a distanced baptism where I said the words, and they and they had their, actually, as it turned out, it was their mothers, two mothers, and a grandfather that poured the water while I said the words for the baptism. So our congregation meets on Zoom in general, and so we first did the introduction. We shared their faith stories as videos on the Zoom worship service first, and also had the responses of the faith sponsors and a congregational response already at that point. And then while my wife was leading the sharing and prayer time, I got in the car and whipped over to their place. And the timing was just about right that I got there just as the sharing and prayer finished. They have a fairly large porch there that leaves space for me to be 6 feet apart from the candidates. And then, we asked them the questions and had a baptism. And for the baptism, I said the words and had their three family members pouring the water. And it felt like a huge God moment for me, for sure, in that moment. And I think very much for their family too. They really appreciated that. I know the ones that poured the water really felt that was a really special thing for them. And once they'd been baptized and I'd welcomed them into the church, we didn't do the hugs and so on that sometimes happen. At our church, there's usually a receiving line where, the candidates are standing and the congregation all comes to greet them and hug them and shake hands and all that kind of stuff. And we knew we couldn't do that. So instead we did a bit of a drive-by. So we had them out in the front yard there, and people from the congregation came and drove by and greeted them and so on from their cars. It was one of those moments in COVID that have been somewhat rare, where there's just joy and worship in a way that has been hard during this time, I think. COVID has impacted everything about being a pastor. All the ways that we do things, the way we visit people, the way we present worship, the way our committees function, the way mission happens, everything, every piece of the job has been impacted, I think. How do we continue to minister to people? How do we continue to reach people in ways that are different, that we can do now? And so there's got to be a creative edge and always something new. And it's both exciting to do new things and hard to do new things. And everything is different. Everything is different. And at the same time, in essentials, nothing is different. Right? All the methods, all the ways that we work at things have changed. But in essentials, I'm still a pastor. God is still walking this journey with us and leading us. We are still followers of Christ. We are still here to be signs of hope and healing to a broken world. And all of that hasn't changed. The baptism was a moment of huge joy for me, for the candidates, for the families, and for the church. And it's those moments of joy, and it's not going to happen all the time, but finding moments here and there of joy in the work, in the ministry, in worship, in God, that can sustain us through this. And know that God is present, as God has always been, leading us, guiding us, being present with us.